Hi there, and after last week's technical issues, I've got a brand new shiny laptop, so normal service can be resumed. And today I'm going to be building the stripy Workman's vest for my upscaled minifigure for my upscaled mini loader. And I know an awful lot of people liked the low budget intro, but now I've got my nice new laptop, let's go back to the normal one. So yes, after last week's very low-tech video, my new laptop has arrived and I've cloned the old one across so it's identical to my old laptop and ready to go editing this week's video. And I did get quite a few comments on last week's video saying yes, no wonder it broke, it's an Apple Mac. Now I know in this world there's an awful lot of people very firmly on the side of Apple Mac versus the PC. And there's an awful lot of people firmly on the side of PCs versus the Apple Mac. But I did want to point out that it didn't break anything to do with it being an Apple Mac, it broke because I cracked my screen. And I don't think that a cracked screen with liquid crystal leaking down inside it is anything that a PC will fare better than an Apple Mac will. But anyway, enough computer talk, let's get on to the more important issue of Lego. And firstly, as always, a big shout out to all my channel members. Thank you for your support of the channel. I wouldn't be able to do everything that I do without your support. And if you're interested in supporting the channel and getting your name on a brick, click the join button below or the link in the description and you can find out all the details. Next, a little bit of channel admin, and I want to thank everyone for the absolutely overwhelming response I've had to my 15 coloured Spacemen display. It's not the most viewed video on my entire channel, but it's definitely the most viewed video in its first week of existence, with over 300,000 views, so thank you so much for everyone who's been watching. But also, I can't believe the number of people who still want me to swap these curved bricks for the ones with the nasty stud on top. I think this looks really nice. I love the smooth look on this. Other people have suggested add these on the top and add studs to all the other bricks, which I personally think would just make the whole thing look a little bit worse. And also you have to bear in mind, I still want this to look like the original set, the Everyone is Awesome set, where we had this beautiful curve running down into the stripes with the figures on top. Many people have said I can use this brick and file off the stud on top and smooth it out so I've got a smooth brick, but I'm not entirely sure why I'd want to do that when I've already got nice smooth bricks here already. So my request is, if you're going to comment on this video and say you want me to swap the gold stripe for this brick, please can you give me a good reason why? I think it looks fine as it is, the curve difference is hardly noticeable, and I prefer the smooth look as opposed to having studs on top. And anyway, as I said, modifying and painting bricks is highly illegal and the little tiny police Lego minifigures come out and arrest you for vandalism, so let's not talk about it anymore. But on to this week's video, and we're back to upscaling the mini loader set. Now, so far we've only got the head and the construction hat, but if you watched my upscaling of the space buggy videos, you'll know that I like it to be very much a collaborative project. And I've had a great suggestion from a guy called Joseph Moranier. I hope that's how you pronounce your name, Joseph, apologies if it isn't. And he's given me a great suggestion on how to upgrade the Workman's hat. Now, we've covered in several videos before that I'm only doing 4 of the ridges around the helmet rather than 8. And that's because the brick-built ones look far superior than anything else you can build with pipes or hoses or flex hinges and things like that. So we're going to stick with 4, but his suggestion is to do with the way these ridges stick out slightly. They stick out at the bottom here, but on the original they also stick out at the top. Now, I could have raised these curved bricks up by 1 plate, and that would have made the ridge evenly spaced from the side here where it's sticking out slightly all the way up to the top, where it'd also be sticking up sort of higher than the dome piece would be. However, that would have then made this construction in the middle also raise up by 1 plate, and it's already too high because this is actually meant to be level with the top of the construction hat. As you can see on the original, that circle is actually level with those ridges on top. Now, it's not a modification that I can do today, but it is so good I just wanted to share it with you today. I needed some red brackets, so I've ordered those and hopefully they'll arrive soon, so I'll be able to do this modification soon. But Joseph sent me some images of him mocking it up at home. Now, he beautifully used some printed mushroom pieces for the domes, but as you can see, he's mounted the curved bricks on their sides so the studs are facing sideways. They're being held in place with some red brackets, but because they're ever so slightly longer than they are tall, when you mount them on their backs, it gives you slightly more space in the middle, so that 3x3 round tile can be recessed on the top of the hat. And just like the original, it's then level with the top of the ridges. Now, the only downside to this mod is that I will end up with 4 studs showing where those ridges come down and meet the rim of the hat. But the benefits of those ridges being evenly spaced all the way up and also managing to recess the 3x3 tile on top, I think all outweigh those 4 studs showing. So that modification will be coming your way soon. But today's video is one I'm really excited about because I'm all about the minifigures and I love the old classic printed vests that you used to get in construction workers and train workers and also in the classic yellow castle. So I've got an awful lot of yellow bricks and a few black ones as well. And it's one I'm going to have to keep my fingers crossed while I'm building it, because although it works in theory, I'm not entirely sure it's going to completely hold together in practice. I built it in Bricklink Studio and it flagged up a potential issue that I might have, but I'm not entirely sure until I actually build it. So I'm quite excited. We're going to build this. It may all fall apart as we go, but let's find out. But just before I get all the parts out, a quick shout out to the Bricklink shop that I bought all these parts for this build from. Now this isn't a paid promotion or anything, but I just had some really nice email interactions with the owner of the shop, who's called Simon, so I thought I'd give him a bit of a shout out. So Simon's shop has got a great pun for a name, and that is Peace Out, and he included this lovely little note with my order. It says, "Hello there Jez, and congratulations on discovering the now legendary, so I'm told, BL store, which is being rejoiced, so I'm told, as Peace Out. Thank you for this order. You're first out of many more to come, so I'm told. Good luck, dude. Don't forget to shout us out." And there you go, Simon. Now I've done it. Now, although this build is actually going to use up quite a lot of pieces, there's not actually that many different types of piece. I've got 4 4x8 plates and a couple of 1x8 plates. I've got 2 2x6 tiles, 2 1x4 tiles, 4 2x2 brackets, 4 1x2 brackets, and an absolute shed load of 2x2 triangular yellow tiles and 2x2 triangular black tiles. And I'm hoping it's going to look really good. So first of all, I've got half the pieces here. I'm going to build the first side, and the whole time I'm doing it, I'm going to try and keep my fingers crossed that me ignoring Bricklink Studio and thinking that I know better than it does is going to pay off, and that this build is actually going to work. Now with this vest, I wanted to keep it as thin as possible, and I wanted to keep that down to 1 plate and 1 tile thickness. If I'd done 2 plates and 1 tile, it would have been so much easier. I could have stacked plates on each other and joined them all together, and that would have given it a lot more strength. But keeping it down to 1 plate and 1 tile was a little bit of a risk. So first of all, I've got my 1x2 brackets, and we've got, obviously this side has got a plate thickness, and this is thinner than a plate. Normally it sits this way up, but we're going to have it this way up. So this is sitting around the neck of the minifigure. And what we're going to do, put a tile on top of them like that, and get our first 2 triangular tiles and pop them on like that. Oops, see, there it goes. And remarkably enough, that is not going to hold on to anything else. Next, we get the 2 side ones, and they are going to have a black tile on each, and they are just going to be held on by the 2x6 tiles on top, like that. And that is our top row of our chevron vest. Next, we're going to start building on a much more sturdy base, and that's a 4x8 plate. And we have to keep our wits about us a little bit here, because I have to remember which stripe is going into which part. So that's going to go into there like that. So then we need yellows on these corner like that. That's our top row. That was a tricky one to think about. Now it should be fairly easy. Effectively, you reverse things. So you're going to follow, no, see, I do have to think, which way round do we go? This way round, yes, so that one's got to go that way round with 2 yellows in the middle, again, making the chevron pointing up, like that, and then this one's got to be a black one going that way, and that one's got to be a black one going that way, and then fill in the 2 gaps with the yellow ones. And hopefully, so far, so good, you're getting the idea of how this is going to go. Then again, follow the pattern. So that one has now got to go that way round. No, that doesn't work at all. It's got to go, that one's got to be on the next plate. So that one has got to be, no, it doesn't. It goes that way round. There we go. That way round. Sorry, my brain's having a slight melt here. Then this yellow stripe's got to extend there. So this one then needs to be there. Like, no, that way round. There. Yellow one goes like that, and that is this plate finished. Now we've got to do another one exactly the same. And there we have 2 identical, and I'm not entirely sure why it's so difficult to keep track of which way round these need to go as you're going along. But as you can see, these 2 are now clicked together like that quite happily. But as you can also see, these don't stay together. If I dangle them like this, they're just going to fall apart. But that's where I'm hoping I know a little bit more about physics than Bricklink Studio does. Now, because the tiles we are using are 2x2, we obviously need an even number of studs. But because we used one of those up with all the brackets at the top, then we've got 2 4x8s on the middle, we need a 1x8 to finish up the bottom row. That's easy to do. You just have a yellow one there, black one in the middle, another black one next to it, and another yellow one on the other side. And if we line them all up, you can see all the parts that we've got ready for our chevron vest. But like I said, we can click them all together and it'll look absolutely beautiful. However, it's not very substantial. Oh, that one actually, not too bad, but yes, slight wiggle and they just fall off. And then off camera, I built a set of identical parts, the only difference being the top ones don't have those 2x6 tiles on the top because they're going to join up front to back and hold the whole thing in place. But it wouldn't be a mini loader upscale video if I didn't miscalculate something, and I have realised I have just ever so slightly miscalculated something, and that's this. I've got a 2x6 tile to go on the shoulder of the torso, which is a 2x6 tile. However, I didn't account for the fact that I have got these two bracket pieces hanging down. So it sits nicely on top of his shoulder, but doesn't sit over his shoulder. So what we're going to do is extend these just by one tile, and that's going to give us width that we're going to need. So I'm just going to need to find two extra 1x2 tiles. So if we pop over to my part storage and quickly go to the 1x2 tile drawer, I'm hoping that inside here there are going to be a couple of 1x2 yellow tiles. And yes, there definitely are, so let's go and take them back to the desk. And fortunately, yes, I've actually got quite a few 1x2 yellow tiles, so we can continue the build. So once I've moved both brackets out one stud, we're going to add a 1x2 tile on top like that. We're going to stick that one on that side, and then extra tile on this one and that one on that side. And I'll put the 1x2s at the back, hopefully because they will show less than they would do at the front. And then next we've got the very fragile operation of trying to put it all together. So we've got our middle section here, which are going to just click into there. So like I say, it holds vertically, but it does actually easily fall apart. It's not actually held together with any clutch power whatsoever. And then that is going to sit on top there, and these two pieces are going to hold it in place. And if I just for a second hold it with my fingers, hopefully we'll see that those, even though they're not actually being held together by any studs at all, they can't move. The only way you can move them is by flexing them in this direction, and because the torso's there, we can't flex that away. So once all the parts are held together in place and they've got the flat surface of the torso behind them, they can no longer come apart, except that tile's just fallen off. But there you go, this now can't come apart. You can move out slightly, but it can't flex enough to come apart from the plate above it. But also, this is what happens when you build things live and don't build them before you film them. I have noticed that yes, although they can't come apart vertically, there is nothing to stop these two pieces moving sideways like this. And then the whole thing will fall apart. Now, two ways we can fix this. We've got those 1x2s on the back. What we could do is swap those into the middle here and put two 1x4s along the back. Then they will hold those two 2x6 tiles together, so they will no longer be able to go sideways. Alternatively, we could reverse the direction of the chevrons. So at the moment, these can move out sideways like that. If these chevrons were reversed, it'll quickly show you what I mean, like that, this piece behind wouldn't be able to move sideways because this tile below it is holding it in place. That would mean that the chevrons would be the other way up. Effectively, they'd be pointing downwards instead of pointing upwards. Now, this does happen on some of the minifigures with these vests on. However, the mini loader does have them pointing upwards on the instructions, so I prefer to keep it this way around. So what I think I'll do is I'll swap the tiles around and get those two 1x4s to hold it together sideways, and hopefully that will fix the issue. So I've now got that 1x4 along the front holding onto the 2x2 bracket and also the 1x2 bracket inside it, and that one can sit there. We've got exactly the same on the other side, and those two can now sit there like that. They are currently still free to move in and out. However, I'm hoping that when we now join, which way around does it go? This way around. When we join these pieces to it, so we slot that one in there and slot that one in there and hang it back on. They can't move apart, and this can't fall down, and that's a lot more sturdy. It's very, very fragile, don't get me wrong, but however, if I wanted to keep this as thin as I want it to, that's the only way I can come out with building this. So let's add on the lower part, and then we'll do the back. So take that off and hold it very carefully. I'm going to add on the lower part there like that. As soon as you add it on, it does hold in place quite happily, and then again get the very lower part, slot that one in place, and then slide it back on top, and there we've got our Workman's vest, and that is holding together quite happily. We just need to add on the back. So for the back, we've got our two 4x8s again, and like I said, once we click them together like that, they then hold together. Add on the bottom piece in the same way. That's all now quite happily hanging. And then we're going to click those underneath these two tiles. And is that going to hold? No, it is not. Let's see if the other two pieces will hold it in place, or whether we're going to need to modify this as well. Don't try this at home unless you've got a lot of spare hands. Right, moment of truth. I'm going to let go. Will it fall? No, it doesn't. Yay, so it is holding together. Now what I think I need to do is get this head on incredibly quickly and hope it stays together in one piece until the head can hold it in place. And I've just given it a quick spin around, and although it does normally hold itself together, now I swapped those that 1x4 by two 1x2s, these central pieces aren't holding the 4x8 plate below it in place. So I do need to swap that out for another 1x4 tile, which luckily I also had in my spare parts. And when that's been swapped out, it now holds itself together much better. One slight extra modification to make. Now we've raised up the sides by the height of one plate. When we try and attach the head like this, there is no clutch power there to hold it on. So what we've got to do is add a plate on top of here. So I've got another round plate. We'll move that tile up one, and then that'll give us our extra height for the head to attach to the studs on the neck. And now I've added that extra 4x4 round plate on top of the neck. When I attach the head, it's actually got some studs to attach to. So here we have our construction worker with his new vest. And like I said, these panels on the front here, you can flex them outwards, but the only way that the 1x8 along the bottom and the two 4x8s can detach is if we can flex them inwards. And because the torso is obviously in the way there, you can't flex them enough that way for them to detach from the panel above. So yes, wobbles around a little bit, but they can't actually come off in any way. So what I want to know from you in the comments this week is, have I sacrificed too much making this plate, this vest, one plate thick? So we've got one plate and a layer of tiles. I could have solved all these problems by making this 2 plates thick, and we'd had another layer of yellow plates behind it, then this layer, and then the tiles on top. Effectively, that would make 3 plates thick, and upscaling that is then half plate 6, 3 plates. That would be half a plate in real size. What I guess we've got to really decide is this vest half a plate thick or a third of a plate thick? If it's a third of a plate, that's what we've got here. If it's half a plate, we could add another plate thickness to the upscaled vest and we'd still be within scale. Personally, I think it is a third rather than half a plate thick. If we try and put this plate actually in front of it, you can see I'm pretty much certain that it is thinner than half of one of these. So to scale, we've got it right as it is, but for strength, if we added another layer of plates, we'd be a lot better off. So my upscaled construction worker has been joined by my upscaled astronaut to say farewell. As always, I'd greatly appreciate your comments below in any ways you think we could improve on this, especially that idea I said about adding an extra layer of plates behind it. It'll make the vest thicker, but it'll make it a lot more sturdy. Next time I make an upscaled loader video, we'll actually be starting work on the loader itself. And we'll start with the back part and we'll work our way forwards to that very, very problematic bucket at the front, which in all my designs in Bricklink Studio so far is becoming incredibly parts intensive. And I think currently I'm up to 268 parts just for that front scoop alone. Like I said, please do let me know what you think in the comments below. If you'd like to support this channel, click on the join button or the link in the description and it'll tell you all the details about that. If you're buying from lego.com, please use my affiliate link in the description. It helps me out ever such a little bit and doesn't cost you any money at all. But of course, if you've liked the video, please do give it a thumbs up and please subscribe for more Lego videos.